don't kick that.
It's not on purpose.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to A Grade. All right. Shut up. Stop laughing. Hey, everyone. All right. I got this. Hello,
Hey, everybody. Welcome to A Grade, the podcast where a college professor and a middle school teacher taste, review, and grade America's best coffee roasters, craft beer breweries, and more.
We have new episodes every Monday morning at 7 a.m. and you can check out our A-Grade bonus content by hopping on over to patreon.com/A-Grade podcast for behind the scenes pictures, videos, and a full report card of every single place we've ever visited and graded. So head on over to patreon.com if you want that A-Grade content. And let's start over.
We were clearly struggling with our intro today.
I don't know. We were doing different voices, different languages.
That was basically take 50, so I just stepped in and went for it.
Yeah, and we still didn't do the intro correctly.
No, but I think we should just let this go.
My name is Joe, and I will edit the hell out of this, and your name, of course, is...
Hi, everybody. I'm Jackie.
So if you're joining us for the first time, I don't know what that was.
That is not our normal intro.
We've had a long day. We've done a lot.
Yes, we have. And I'm super excited to review the next two places that we're going to review because both were very unique. And I think we got some good content coming up.
Yeah, they were probably as unique as this intro was. I don't know if that's true, actually.
It was about 40 takes.
Yeah, I don't know why we struggled. We normally struggle with recording the introduction, but today it was just not happening.
For some reason.
So whatever I edit together, that's what you're going to get. I don't know what to tell you.
For some reason, I laughed so hard. We both had the giggles and we were just looking at each other like, are we ever going to do this?
Yeah, it's just got to get done, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do it boring. I'm not going to say...
I just went for it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to A Grade. Maybe I should do that.
Maybe a nice,
the podcast
relaxing
where
start.
A college professor, a middle school teacher, taste, review, and grade America's best coffee roasters, craft beer breweries, and more. We have new episodes. We shall never surrender. See, I don't know. It just keeps devolving.
So what we do if you're new to this podcast is we're going to go to different coffee roasters and craft beer breweries, and we are going to review the atmosphere and ambiance, service, beer, and food for the places that we go.
Yeah. And of course, if it's a coffee roaster, we'll review the coffee.
Yes, of course.
Did you say that?
No.
There's a chance you might be a little lit.
Just a chance, but we did go to two breweries today, so...
Yes. Well, in any event, we are here this week with Great South Bay Brewery.
Brewery. Yes.
Brewery, that's what I meant. Yes. And I don't know. Take it away. Go.
You want to jump right in? Okay.
This is the most unprofessional episode we've ever done, and I love it.
Yes, me too.
I didn't even drink that much. I'm just kind of tired because we ran a lot this morning because you're a crazy person training for a marathon.
Yeah, I don't know if I've said that at all on the podcast yet, but I am actually in the process of training for a marathon.
Is that secret information? Do you want me to edit that out?
No, not at all. But it does normally on Saturdays. That's my long run days. So I have kind of got Joe to come with me on some of my runs.
Well, I'm training to do a 5K.
A turkey trot.
Yeah, because I'm never going to be able to run a marathon, but I can haul my fat gut across the finish line of a 5K full of bird, that's for sure. I've done it before, so I can do it again. So
this morning we went for a run, and then we got dressed, got ready, and headed right to Great South Bay Brewery. And actually, it's funny you say that because I was really excited to go to this brewery. First of all, we were kind of bouncing around where we wanted to go this week. And one of the things that I looked for, which was really hard to find, was a brewery that had TVs around.
Oh, right, because it's wild card weekend this weekend.
Yeah, so this episode is probably coming and actually publishing a little bit in the future, but while we were going to...
The World Series will probably be over by the time this episode comes out. No, that's not true.
That's not true. But it is wild card weekend, so we're baseball fans, and we really wanted to go to a place that had some TVs. And I thought it was interesting just in general because there are not a lot of breweries here in New York on Long Island that have access to a lot of TVs when you want to watch sports. So as we were walking into Great South Bay Brewery, I was like, this might be one of the only places that we've been to in a while that has a lot of TVs that actually show sports. It, in my brain, kind of reminded me of a sports brewery because there were TVs everywhere, and there was college football on, and there was the wild card games on. So I was really happy about that.
And I guess that does take us to our first grading rubric category, which is, of course, as you mentioned earlier, atmosphere and ambiance.
Right.
So what else do you think about your assessment of atmosphere and ambiance?
So Great South Bay Brewery has been a brewery that I think is one of the older breweries on Long Island, if I'm correct.
I remember going there years ago, but I believe I browned out. So I don't quite remember it. And it was funny because when we were talking to one of the beer tenders, I said, this looks totally different from what I remember. But granted, it was pre-COVID. It was probably about 5 years ago. And he said that they are constantly changing it. He had mentioned that the kitchen was new, that the sort of kind of like bar-y dining area that we were sitting in was new. They had partitioned it off during COVID and kind of left it that way with different sections. So yeah, it definitely is something that has sort of evolved over time. And like I said, I remember going there, at least in theory, years ago. So yeah, it's definitely been around a while. It's the type of brewery where you can find their beers in grocery stores around here, Great South Bay. And it's kind of got, I don't know what kind of reputation it has. I feel as if, I mean, knowing people who are big fans of craft beer and craft breweries, it's kind of got the reputation of it's the type of craft brewery where you can find their beers in the grocery store and you would treat it sort of like you treat like Sierra Nevada beer or something like that.
Blue Point.
Yeah, Blue Point, where it's like, yeah, it's maybe good at the brewery, but the grocery store stuff is like, you don't go out of your way for it. It's just if you're at the grocery store and you see it, you might pick it up because it's obviously going to be better than a Heineken or a Budweiser or something like that. But at the same time, it's not something that I ever had on my mind as a destination brewery. So I was really curious for that reason, thinking sort of that I wonder how much better it's going to be at the brewery. Again, that's not to say that it's bad when you find it in the grocery store, but that's just different than a lot of, say, destination places where you can't get their cans in local stores. You do have to actually go there or know a friend who goes there, and it's kind of a little bit more exclusive or elusive for that reason.
Yeah, this is maybe in that middle echelon of brewery where it's not quite Budweiser, but it's quite
not
a really small craft brewery either. It's somewhere in the middle where they distribute around and you can get their beers at different stores.
Yeah. So what else did you think about atmosphere and ambiance? You liked your TVs?
Yeah, so I
like the TVs.
Yeah, I have to say it was really interesting. Like I was saying before, I don't think there's a lot of craft beer breweries where you have access to multiple TVs and it has that sort of sports bar feel. There was college football on, there was baseball on, there was all different options, and no matter where you sat, there was access to a lot of big TVs. It was almost like each table in some places had their own TVs. The other thing that I noticed is that this brewery was gigantic.
Yeah,
it was in an industrial area, so we were
an industrial park area
in a warehouse.
It's not like there were smelting mines around us or something like that. I don't think there was. But yeah, there was kind of storage unit type places around with barbed wire fence. We were kind of thinking, where the hell are we? Yeah. And then we saw the brewery and we said, oh, cool, that's where we are.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And when you go in, the other thing that you notice right away is that there's a main room where you can go if you're a guest of the brewery. Like there's different tables and all different types of tables, but there are also party rooms. So there's also rooms that are designated and roped off for different events, which I thought was really interesting. We haven't quite seen that before.
Yeah, it was kind of confusing in some ways because when we walked in, there was what looked to me like a ticket booth window in this little room with, I think, a claw game machine or something when you walk in. And I was sort of a little confused by that. And then when you walk through that little entry room, there was a private party behind this glass wall or something in this sort of side room. And at first I thought, oh my God, are they having a private event? Is the brewery closed for a private event? Because I checked online, because that does happen. There are breweries where people will rent them out for the duration of a certain amount of hours, and they'll say, oh, we're closed for a private event. So I immediately thought, oh crap, we overlooked something important. I guess we're going to the other place that we'll talk about, I guess, at the end as a preview for next week's episode. But turned out it was just kind of a side room. They were having their own thing. But that looked cool. You know, they have the ability to have these options. You can host, I guess, what was a private event there. And then we realized when we walked in, oh, there's all seating up towards by the bar. So definitely a lot of different options, definitely a lot of different vibes. But yeah, to me, overall, what stood out was the sports bar feel. I don't think I've ever been to a brewery that had more of a sports bar vibe. I mean, they had Quick Draw on the tables, for goodness sakes. I've never seen that at a craft brewery. And I'm a big Quick Draw fan.
And I'm a big sports person.
Well, I'm that too, but
yeah.
So it was kind of weird, but I kind of liked it for that reason. It was very different than what I would normally expect from a brewery, but it's the type of stuff that I would like at a bar anyways, normally. So I like those parts of it. I thought that was cool. It was different, but I enjoyed that.
Me too. And I really liked it, particularly if it's a Sunday and there's football games on, or it's baseball playoffs or hockey playoffs or basketball playoffs. This seems like a really cool option for a brewery in those situations because there are so many TVs and there are so many tables and places to sit. This brewery had more options for seating than I think a lot of places that we've been. How many tables do you think there were in the brewery?
It felt like there were it felt as if there were actually a lot more than there probably were.
Right.
But there was still plenty. They even, by the time we left, they had a stage as well set up and they were doing live music. So they really had everything going on. There was even cornhole in the middle. Some guys were playing darts in the corner. So it had all the hits, it felt like a really everything that you would expect.
Place to go with a group of people. If you're bringing your friends or even our parents or something like that.
Yeah, definitely.
It seemed like there was a place where there's a lot to do and you can spend a lot of time there.
So beefs, do you have any atmosphere and ambiance beefs?
Well, before we get to that, there are a couple other things I wanted to say was that they were extremely decorated for Halloween. There were cobwebs everywhere.
Some skeletons, I believe.
Skeletons from hanging from the ceilings. And I really liked that. They had pictures of all of their different taps and beers that they've had through the years up on the walls, which I kind of liked. And as a decoration around the brewery, they had the tap handles of beers that are no longer on tap. Yeah. And I thought that was a really cool aesthetic. I mean, I liked the way it looked. I was kind of a sucker for the way it looked. It did feel a little bit corporate, kind of like going to Victory Brewing or something like that.
Well, that happens too with a big building, I feel like sometimes. Yeah.
But I didn't mind it at all. I think the atmosphere and ambiance was probably my favorite part of being in the brewery.
Yeah.
And I know that you sort of had one big beef with the atmosphere and ambiance was that the live music was really, really, really loud.
Well, it also just wasn't good. I mean, it was just an old man band. Like, it's nothing personal. If that's what you do and that's what you like, more power to you. But it's just not anything that's really interesting to me, to be honest. That's just me. I mean, people love that shit. People love Billy Joel. I don't know why, but, that's that.
How do you not like Billy Joel if you're from Long Island? I think that's
enough already.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Billy Joel when he was younger. You go back to Billy Joel in the 80s, Uptown Girl. That's great stuff. But at this point, he's a pink blowfish.
Don't
it's
you
enough
think
already.
Billy
He's
Joel
done.
would hang out at this place, maybe?
Billy Joel would totally hang out at this place. I hear he's a nice guy, by the way.
It's a typical Long Island place.
I know a guy who used to do like sound for MSG or something. And he said that he was really cool.
I've heard that too.
So
yeah,
I have nothing against Billy Joel. Yeah. I've heard it's enough already.
The music felt that kind of music where the band itself is so loud and all the music in the background is so loud that you can't talk to anybody. And also you can't hear the singer's voice because the instruments are so loud. It wasn't equalized.
I believe
right.
as an anecdote that the second brewery that we went to today, which sneak peek, we will review for next week's episode, is actually kind of in the back of this brewery.
Yes.
You go through the production facility to get to this other brewery. And at one point when we were at that one, because we went there second, obviously, some guy came up to the bar and I think he was asking the beer tender there for ear mittens or something for a kid.
Yes.
Because they were trying to go back to the other place, but the music was too insanely loud.
Yes.
And I was sort of thinking, that would be great if they handed those out for everyone. I don't know. I feel bad saying that, but it's just, it wasn't good. It's not my thing. Like, some live music I like, but I don't know. That just didn't do it for me.
It was an interesting choice to have at.
It made sense, I thought, for a place like that.
I don't know. It was interesting to me at a brewery where your vibe is kind of a sports vibe. I guess then maybe a old timey classic rock type
I'm sure
band
people love it. There were people there listening.
Yeah,
Nobody I would want to hang out with, but whatever. To each their own.
Were there any other beefs you had about the atmosphere and ambiance?
Yeah, I didn't like it at all. No, I'm kidding.
You're like, I hated it there.
No, I didn't like. I never like really when you can't sit at the bar. And again, I get places where you can't always do that. There's lots of places that I've enjoyed where that's not always an option for whatever reasons, but I felt like that does add to the sort of less personalized feeling of it. You know, you can't interact with the beer tenders and the staff as much, which I tend to typically like. That's something I'm sure we'll talk about next week. And you kind of just go up to the bar, you order whatever, and you go to your seats. It's just a little less personalized. Obviously, that gets into the service too, but it does affect the atmosphere and ambiance. So, yeah, the fact that the bar's over there and we're sort of separate, again, it gives me just more of a kind of a restaurant sports bar type vibe as opposed to a more intimate brewery setting. But that was pretty much everything I noticed, other than
cue the toilets.
That was good. You nailed it.
Yeah.
You nailed it this week. Well
Taking
done.
a lot of me doing it wrong to get to
a lot of
me doing
miscued
it right.
toilets. This week's rendition of Bathroom Corner.
What do you think, bathroom expert?
I thought it was pretty straightforward. I mean, they had actually, it was interesting because they had the bathrooms for the brewery, and then that hallway to the second brewery, there were also bathrooms kind of in the middle before you got to the other brewery. So it's kind of hard to say where that cutoff is. There were signs pointing to those middle bathrooms saying that they were for Great South Bay. So I will count them. And those bathrooms were nice because they were individual bathrooms, whereas the ones in the main part of the brewery were kind of just shared bathrooms in terms of like you had a urinal and then a couple of stalls. They were fine. They were serviceable. I mean, really nothing distinct or noticeable about them. I would say they were solid C-grade bathrooms. They were fine. They were satisfactory to my expectations.
Yeah,
So.
The woman's bathroom felt a little bit like a diner bathroom or something because it was painted light pink. And I thought...
Oh, interesting. I think mine was just white walls or something.
Something about it annoyed me that the girls' bathroom was painted light pink. Like, why are you painting a girl's bathroom pink?
I don't know.
I don't know. I just didn't... Something about it bothered me. And then the fact that they didn't have paper towels bothers me always.
So how would you grade your bathroom experience?
Definitely below average. It wasn't dirty or anything, but I would definitely give my bathroom experience a C-.
Oh!
Yeah.
Flush the toilet.
Flush the toilet. Sink it down.
Anyways, I got weird. So what do you think for atmosphere and ambiance grade?
So with all of that being said, I actually think I'm going to rate it a little bit higher than you. Just based on your vibe compared to my vibe when we were there. I really like the fact that there were TVs everywhere. I didn't mind the music as much as you did. I like live music, even if it's bad live music. I like the energy that comes into a place when live music is on. And I liked all the TVs. I felt like it was a place I probably would have stayed longer and wanted to hang with a lot of different people. I liked the cornhole. I liked the darts. I liked the activities to do there. I liked the
filibustering.
Outdoor seating.
Filibuster.
I'm going to go with a B. I thought the atmosphere and ambiance was the best part of my experience.
Damn it.
Is that what you were going to say too?
Yes, I was going to say B.
Oh.
It was
I thought
good.
I was going to go higher than you.
No, I thought it was good. I liked it. I liked it for what it was. I again, some of the elements or aspects such as the live music. And again, I'm not anti-live music. I just didn't like that particular live music. But again, there were things I liked about it, things that I thought, weren't exactly my vibe. But overall, it was a really good vibe.
I don't know.
Again, really good to me is above average. I would say B is pretty accurate for the atmosphere and ambiance. I agree.
Hot take. I think a lot of breweries, they have live music that is sort of sad and somber and hipster and emo and cool and
What
smooth.
breweries? Name me 7.
Well, I'm thinking of what I see on Instagram with like Baconic, some of the
I feel like they're more
single artists that they have
I feel
that
like
are
they're
playing
more country or something.
They're playing acoustic, sort of sadder music, and brewery vibes tend to be like that, where it's a single person with a guitar and singing quiet, peaceful music at some of the places. Where I liked the little bit more of the upbeat. I could see drunk people dancing at Great South Bay, and I like that vibe. I mean, there's a whole
I could see that
Great South Bay Music Festival. I picture that. I think it's a place that you can get a little bit lit and feel really comfortable and have a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I kind of liked it. I don't know. I liked
I liked it too.
I liked the atmosphere and ambiance.
All
That
right.
was my, spoiler alert, favorite part of everything.
Which leads us to, of course, service, which I guess I go with.
Yes.
Yeah, not really a whole lot to say about the service for the reasons we've already said. The fact that you couldn't sit at the bar. In terms of our actual interactions with the bartender, he was nice enough, friendly enough. I didn't like that they don't give flights there, which gets into the beer as well, but that's sort of part of service and the atmosphere and ambiance. Something else I forgot to mention, they kind of just give you plastic cups, plastic samples. I understand why breweries do that, but it does actually, now that we mention it, affect and impact the atmosphere and ambiance as well. But, you know, he was nice enough. He said that we could have samples if we want, but I still just like having flights. So overall, I thought it was fine, the service. You know, they brought out our food later on. They came and took our plate away. So it was kind of like table service, which was nice. So overall, I liked all of that. But again, it just wasn't really an environment where you got the feeling like, oh, this is a place where I'm going to meet the people behind the product with the passion, right? I mean, we did talk to the bartender a bit. He mentioned that he'd been there for 5 years or something. So there's definitely a community there, and that's sort of always cool to see. But there was just nothing that really like shocked me or stood out to me in terms of the service. Like, it was fine to good. Like, I had a decent service experience, but it's just not really set up for an exceptional service experience like we've talked about at some other places where we meet the brewers, we talk to the beer tenders more. I mean, we've gone places where they take us behind the scenes, you know, they say, oh, take a look back, we'll show you our machines, whatever. Again, it's just not, like I keep saying, it's not set up for that. But what did you think? Did you think anything different? Or yeah,
completely. I felt like if I was there alone and you and Tommy weren't there with us, because we did go with Tommy,
the arbiter,
our arbiter.
Yeah, who will help us decide the A Grady Award nominations coming up in a couple of months.
Yeah, I felt like you both are very social and get people to open up and have conversations with people, whereas I'm a little bit more reserved. And this was the kind of situation that I think if I was by myself, I probably would have went up, ordered, had no additional conversation, and left the bar. I thought the service was below average for that reason. We didn't really get any recommendations. When you did try to ask about a recommendation, it was almost like, what are you talking about? We only have one lager on tap.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Thing.
Because the board was kind of confusing. And when I asked for a lager, he was kind of confused as to which one I was talking about. And then, yeah, he was sort of like, which are you talking about?
We only have one lager.
And I'm like, well,
you're like, it says two different things
well, it's
up
half
there.
a word different, the one lager from the other. They had very similar names. And then I thought, well, I don't know which one I'm talking about. Why do you have two lagers that are so close?
It kind of made me feel like the way he was saying it was like, duh, shouldn't you know this?
Yeah,
and I was like, as an outsider, it's not that obvious. It wasn't obvious at all to me.
But it turned out that the other lager had a shot of orange vodka in it or something. And I said, no, I definitely don't want that one.
The only thing, one was a regular lager and one was called a loaded lager.
That's
so we were trying to understand what the difference was between the two because it wasn't clear. Yeah. And I felt like the beer tender almost made us feel a little bit like stupid for not understanding.
Yeah.
I just don't really like that vibe. So that's where I stood. I don't think there was much interaction, but like you said, that's also the setup of a bigger place where you walk up to the bar, order, and then walk back to your seat to drink it.
Yeah, I'm going to go C for service because I felt as if all of that is true, but at the same time, it was very prompt. I mean, the food came out promptly. There weren't any delays like that. It was definitely a streamlined process. It was very clear. People knew what they were doing. It was very orderly. So, yeah, it was fine. It didn't expand beyond anything that I would expect. It felt like a sports bar, going to a sports bar. So, again, my sort of experience and expectations are hoping for much more, but that's not to say that that's wrong or that's bad. I think it was fine. It was perfectly fine.
I went with D+.
Whoa.
My standards are really high for a service experience. I think
you got to back up. I feel the heat. You're coming in hot. Oh my God. Woo.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the perk of going to a craft beer brewery and a coffee roaster is to get good service. Yeah. And my standards are higher.
If it weren't so prompt,
D+ for me.
He did offer us samples. The food came out promptly. I think
he didn't offer me a sample.
Oh, well, maybe because you were grilling him with your heat, you know?
I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah, see?
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think for beer category?
Oh, it's my turn. Okay, we're
Oh, it's
moving
your
right
turn.
along.
Yeah.
All right. So right off the bat, again, a place that doesn't have flights is a little tricky for me because ultimately we only got to try 3 out of about 20 different beers.
Not only did they not have flights, but they had only, I think, 16-ounce pours. Were they 12-ounce pours or 16-ounce pours?
16.
Which is insane to me. Because I'm thinking if I have to drive, I'm having one beer. That's it.
And I'm sorry, but
Like, what?
and I'm sorry, but I did not feel comfortable asking to sample different beers. I felt that that would have been an annoyance in a way, and that I should go up there and know exactly what I want.
I'm glad you're noting this, though, because this is super important, the fact that your experience is different. And this is sort of, as you were saying, the fact that maybe me or Tommy, we are a bit more socially forward in our types of engagements. And this makes a difference because people have different levels of comfort going into different settings. And that's definitely a part of it. And it does translate to the beer itself, the product itself, in terms of what you wind up trying. And like you're saying, you know, you only wound up having one.
Yeah, I only ended up having one, and there were a lot of really cool options that were on the board, and I did not really feel comfortable with asking, oh, can I try that lager? Can I try that pale ale? And I just went with something that I knew I would like because basic. My favorite beer is a pumpkin. So I just got the pumpkin because I knew I would like it. I didn't take any chances. I didn't try anything new. I just tried something that I know I like. Basically, whether it's good or bad, I just like the flavor of the beer. So I went with that.
How would you grade the pumpkin?
I really liked my pumpkin.
How would you grade it?
Probably a B to a B plus. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and I had the lager. I wound up getting the lager because, again, my thinking was, well, I have to drive. I can't start slugging IPAs.
Did you get to try any, or you?
I did. I tried yours. Yours was actually really good.
It was really good.
I would say yours was like BB plus. I really liked yours. I thought it was really good.
And they had the cinnamon rim, which breweries don't always have.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was a low alcohol content pumpkin, which I like. It was only 5%. Sometimes the pumpkin beers can be a lot higher. And I purposely went for one that was a little lower alcohol.
Yeah, I felt as if Tommy's IPA too was pretty good. I liked his IPA. Did you get to try that one?
No.
Yeah, that was really good. I took a sip of that. And then my lager was a really good lager. I mean, not every place does a lager because it's not an easy beer to do really well. And I thought theirs was really good. I would say it was definitely a BB plus lager too. It was a really good lager. So overall, the beers I tried, I thought were really good.
But does that make you really disappointed? Because we each had a beer that we really liked, and we are saying around B plus, but we didn't get to try anything else because these breweries are not places that you walk. They're driving distance.
Yeah, nobody's not driving, not driving to this brewery.
Yeah,
how many negatives do I need?
Exactly.
Right.
So you were our DD today. So, and even not being the DD, I know that this is not a place I'm going to go and get to sample a bunch of beers.
Well, that's part of the problem is even going back, as you were saying, with friends or family, I'm sort of thinking the same thing. I like to go to a place, and even if I can't get a flight, give me some 12-ounce pours or some
small
6-ounce pours or 8-ounce pours or something. A lot of places, Po' Boy Brewery, which I went to a couple weeks ago, you didn't get to go, but they were doing half pints, which was awesome because I could say, oh, this is great. I'll do a couple of half pints, hang out with my friends for a couple hours and then, get going. But I got to try a few different ones. And you wind up making more money because you can charge more for a half pint than you would for a full one. And I'll get more of those. So it just, it was kind of a little bit of a letdown in that way, I guess. But so what do you think for beer grade?
Well, the other thing I'm going to say, too, is that I'm a little bit of a sucker for a really good beer glass. And I know people that are really into beers are as well. And the only options at Great South Bay for glasses are plastic ones.
Yeah.
So you're not getting I always go back to thinking about Human Robot, where we had that Pilsner in a Pilsner glass.
That was amazing.
Where the bubbles were just flowing, and you could see the carbonation of the lager.
So many places have so much good glass work going on.
This was not a Human Robot lager where the bubbles were going, and it was so fresh and crisp. I mean, the beers were good, but I do think that they are impacted by the fact that they're in plastic, and the plastic does fit a sports bar feel.
Right, exactly.
But so would a pint glass.
Well, yeah.
You go to a sports bar, you
shaker
get
glass,
so with
yeah.
a shaker glass.
Right,
There are
yeah.
ways that you can have a beer in glass. I felt, the beers were good, but we didn't get to try a lot, and they were in plastic, and we got to try 3
So
out
what's
of
your letter
20.
grade? Come on. What
I
do
don't
you
know.
got?
With all that being said, I'm going C,
What?
and I think they could have been a lot better.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. I thought I was going to go low.
What were you gonna say?
I'm going to say B minus.
Yeah, I can't go higher than average. I didn't even get to try a lot of the beers.
That's true. I mean, you had a small sample size, I suppose, but
Yeah.
I mean,
It was good. My pumpkin
well,
was
that's what
really
I mean.
good.
I thought the ones I had were pretty good though, but you're right. I didn't really get to
Coming in
try
hot today.
the others. You are steaming
I'm
in
like,
here.
come
Look at this. Well, anyways.
This is an awesome place, and I don't even get to try your beers. What the heck? Come on.
Anyways, that leaves us with food.
Your turn.
Which I know.
I'm gonna come in even hotter.
I know you had said it in the car. You were kind of steaming in the car.
I'm coming even
You were
hotter.
definitely steaming in the
Yeah.
car. You were stewing about the food. I don't know why. I thought the food was by far the best food we've ever had.
Yeah. Okay. Walnut.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I was coming in hot so far. I'm coming
You
in
just
even
threw
hotter
your
right
pen
now.
across the room. Anyways, so the food, they did have a kitchen that the beer tender, like we said, had told us that it was recently installed, I guess. I don't know, whatever. And it was kind of convenient because you ordered through a QR code to your table, which was super cool. So I liked all of that. I thought that was, again, a good part of the service experience as well, and everything else, like we said. But the food itself, we wound up going with a chicken parm hero and a meat lovers pizza because we actually made pizza last night, a homemade, and we said, well, we have that as kind of a baseline. So if they're making their own pizza in house, might as well sort of get it to compare and contrast. How do I say this? How do I put this? Do you want to explain?
The food was trash.
I wouldn't say the food was trash. I would say we'll have pictures on Instagram and you can judge for yourself. I would say, remember Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoons, where they had the pizza, the cartoon pizza that would kind of just like hang? It kind of reminded me of that a little bit.
You know what it reminded me of?
I don't know.
It reminded me of Chuck E. Cheese food.
It wasn't great. I mean, it was one of those.
It was adult Chuck E. Cheese.
It was one of those things where it felt like sports bar food, and I've had better sports bar food now I think about it. But
Yeah.
in any event, I mean, I did feel as if the food itself, I would have not probably really liked it at all if we hadn't run miles this morning. I think that's sort of what saved my experience there was because I was so
needed
hungry.
food.
Yeah, I was so hungry. I
We
just
were
ate
really
it.
hungry.
But you mentioned that the chicken was chewy for you.
Yeah.
You got some chewy chicken. Yeah, it's never good.
It was unfortunate.
Mine was okay, but
It was unfortunate because I got a chicken parmesan hero because they had pizzas and heroes.
basically, yeah.
And I got
Which I like in premise.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind that in premise.
pizzas are great bar food.
Well, I feel like here's the thing. If you're going to do pizza at a brewery, at a place
Just
that's
do Amy's
got
pizza.
a sports bar vibe, no, do like a bar pizza. Do one of those super thin, flat pizzas.
Yeah, like
That's what you
Peconic
should.
does.
They're literally called bar pizzas, bar
Yeah.
pies. Like you can do that super thin, super crispy, and super light. This was like heavy, kind of. I mean, it was cooked well on the bottom, but it's still pretty doughy.
Yeah.
You know, it was a bit heavy to me for that type of pizza, that type of vibe. Same thing with the cheese. You know,
Yeah,
it just
was
didn't do
little
it for me.
Unfortunate because when one of my very last bites of the chicken was really chewy and rough to get through.
That's
And
not
if
great.
I would have had that bite at the very beginning, I probably would have put it down and not finished it because
Yeah.
chicken makes me really gross. I feel gross sometimes by meat, and this felt like really, really not that good chicken. Maybe.
Yeah, so I'm going to go for the
Unfortunately.
food grade because I really like the idea. It was just the execution kind
Yeah.
of doesn't do it for me. I'm going to go C- for the food. I liked the idea of the options. I just feel like they gotta tighten that up. Like they gotta really. I mean, that could be outstanding. those options could be outstanding. I mean, it reminds me of going back to Human Robot
I know.
Brewing.
I
don't
keep
know
on
why
going back to Human Robot
Brewing. It's an episode we did back in, I don't know, February or March in Philadelphia, brewery that we went to. But they had this sandwich shop. And if you think about Poe's Sandwich Shop, shout out to Poe's Sandwich Shop in Philadelphia, those sandwiches compared to these.
I want to cry thinking about those sandwiches.
Those are
A
grade sandwiches. You just go on Instagram, type in Poe's Sandwich Shop.
You're going to cry.
And look at those
You're
sandwiches.
Gonna salivate.
You're going to be like, those are A grade looking sandwiches. These were not that. They just weren't. Like,
it felt like going to Chuck E. Cheese with your kids and getting pizzas.
So what do you
there.
get for a food grade?
D.
Oh man, she's hot.
I had chewy chicken.
No, I lucked out. I took the half without the chewy chicken.
I almost spit it out in a napkin.
Because if I had gotten chewy chicken, that might have been an F for me. I'll give an F for chewy chicken.
The only reason I'm giving a D is because the system was cool, where you order on the QR code by your seat, and because I liked the table we were sitting at with views of TVs.
Yeah, it almost just sort of felt like, this was the type of food that you can get by with, but it's not elevating the experience really.
If I went back there,
I appreciate that they have it, but
if I went back there, I probably would just order beer and
I
not
don't think
food.
we're going to be allowed back there after this episode. I don't know.
I liked the atmosphere.
Yeah, well, tell that to the chef when he throws a pizza pie in your face.
The funny part is I probably would go back here, but
all right,
I just would not eat there.
I'm not going. I'm going to have to fight people. What are you talking about?
The food was...
Anyways, what's our letter grades? What are we working with here?
I came
for
in
our
hot.
Final letter grade. You did come in hot.
For atmosphere and ambiance, we both gave a B. For service, Joe gave a C. I gave a D+. For beer, Joe gave a B-. I gave a C. For food, Joe gave a C-. I gave a D. I have some hot Ds in here.
I know my letter grade. I think I know my letter grade. Yeah. I think I'm pretty confident.
I know mine as well.
3, 2, 1?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1,
C.
B-.
Oh,
C.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm surprised. I'm surprised the atmosphere and ambiance didn't bump it up for you.
So that's the only reason it did bump it to a C for me.
Oh my God, that is the bumped version. Jesus.
It was really a hard grade for me a little bit, because I felt like this is a really chill place to go, especially if you like sports. The beers were good. The atmosphere is good. There's lots of TVs.
Yeah.
Go on a football
Well,
Sunday.
that's why I
like
felt
that.
Because the beers were also good and it is a cool place to chill. It's above satisfactory to me. I mean, they still do have food. They still do have all of these other elements. But
they have the sports.
I see what you're, but at the same
the
time, if we're grading it on a brewery scale, I see why you would say it's a little lower. So should we compromise and come in the middle with C+ for the overall podcast grade? That's fair?
I think that's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's officially C+ for Great South Bay Brewery Company by A Grade Podcast.
You heard it here.
Wow, you heard it here.
Yeah,
it's about what I expected going in, honestly. I just didn't expect the different grading rubric categories to be what they were.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised by that, but I sort of felt like this would probably be like a C+, B- grade brewery. I figured, they probably have some decent beers. It's probably, pretty average, cool place, but there were definitely things that I really liked about it. I think the things that I really liked about it, I really liked, and the things that just didn't really appeal to me just kind of fell flat.
Yeah, and I think honestly,
but it was good overall. I had a great time.
I would go back here and play some darts, play
They're
some
going to throw
cornhole.
darts right at your head.
No.
They're going to cornhole you right in the face.
I'm not invited back.
Yeah.
And I would definitely go if there was a day sports were playing. I probably would not go back if it was a day that sports were not playing.
Yeah. Well, again, it's
if that makes sense.
Well, it's difficult too, because if I want to go and try all their beers, I can't do that.
You can't. And what if you get an IPA? What if I were to get an IPA and I don't like it, and now I'm stuck with a 16 ounce and I don't like it? Well, that's the beauty of flights, is that you get to try all these different beers and then you pick which one you like the best, and that's the one that you get a full pour of.
Well, if we were grading this as a sports bar, I would say I would say this was B+.
Yes,
I would say this was really good. This was one of the better, sports bars I've been to in a while. But again, it's my expectations for what, again, I want out of a brewery and what you want out of a brewery. So take that with a grain of salt. I would definitely recommend, as you were saying, if you're into looking for a sports bar type vibe with craft beer, this is exactly what you're looking for. So
yeah, and I think it'll be a little more clear to next week when we go to
visit. Should I cue the scary music, the spooky music?
Ooh, spooky music.
All right, it's playing right now. I'll edit it in. Ed will edit it. Yeah. Ghost Brewing Company? Ghost Brewing.
Yes, Ghost Brewing Company.
In behind that building, wherever town that's
in the same building in Bayshore, New York.
Yeah, so we'll explain how that's all set up, but really cool.
Really cool that they're both connected.
Yeah.
If you're going to Great South Bay, you're probably also going to try Ghost.
I
and
would
you're going to
highly
get
recommend that.
a really different vibe, really great vibe there too.
Yeah, so check it out, and we'll have more of that next week. And thank you guys for checking us out. Like we said, rambling at the beginning, if you would like bonus content, go on over to patreon.com/agradepodcast. There should be a link in the episode description wherever you're listening to this that you can click on too. And you get bonus goodies, bonus content, behind the scenes stuff, and you can help support us and the podcast. And thank you to our current Patreons. We couldn't do it without you guys. Shout out to all of you.
Thank you.
You guys are A grade.
Yes,
and
you are.
Yeah, we will be back, like we said, next week with
a spooky Ghost Brewing Company
Halloween special.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
Yeah, so until next time, stay safe out there.
Stay spooky.
Stay spooky out there. Be well, drink well, and hope to scare you then.
Ooh, bye.
Later.
Bye.
Wow, that was an hour.
You think they could tell we're lit?
Nah.